Today I'll be discussing about Islamic mentality, more so on people within the faith of Islam and how they think within the boundaries of their faith. First of all, I asked three peoples on their thought of Islam, one on the right side of the politics, one on the left side of politics, and one on the center. The right side of politics, the person said that he does not like Islam at all, and he thinks that the religion is stupid and it's kind of pointless. The one on the left told me that Muslims should be somewhat not blamed for their what a certain group of people do, and it's just a small amount of them that actually do the problem. While the person on the center says that they don't see a point in religion, but Muslims should be what they want to be, but should not really be harmed for a certain group of them. Let us talk about Islamic mentality now. Majority of people in the faith of Islam are somewhat under the shackles that they have to be Islam no matter what, even if they do not read the Quran and they do not believe it. It's because their whole family, their whole lineage was Islam, and if they deviate from that, they will be an outcast within that family, because within Islamic families they are extremely prideful. They are the most stubborn people you will ever meet, is because they were brought up to be that way. They were brought up to believe that there is only one religion that they should be fond of, and that is Islam. I, for one, am from an Islamic family. I am a former Muslim. I was very much into the religion at one point and believed it extensively, and I would even debate people about it, to be honest. Now, going back into the mentality of people, since they are so prideful about it because it's their lineage, they will be a part of Islam for Islam's sake, meaning that they will be a Muslim, but they won't do any of the teachings, they won't pray, they won't read the Quran, they won't do any of that, because they only believe in one thing, and that is they are Islam. They can say, oh, I'm a Muslim, and everyone outside of their social group will agree with them, because 90% of them are the same. They just know the religion. They identify with the religion, but not the actual teachings. This causes a problem because no one really knows what the Quran really says, and they just believe it blindly, which causes the pridefulness and such, which makes people more debate and strong faith about the religion because their lineage is from it, but they still do not know what the teacher says. They just understand what basically what our former priest, he says, the Hajib or something like that they're called. What they say and what they teach, they believe in that, and they will treat it in that to their death. Now we are going to talk about the third world aspect of the mentality of people in the faith of Islam. 40% of males are illiterate, and 60% of females are illiterate within the Middle East. This shows that they have blind faith within the religion, and within the literacy count, only a small amount of them do actually read the Quran, because they have no need for it, and they feel as though there's no point. They just blindly follow what the hadiths teach, or hajibs, or whatever they're called. I keep on forgetting, and there's so many names depending on which country you go to. Continuing, the mentality of this is showing blind faith within people, and which causes problems because they believe in this one person, and this one person is a radical Islamist, believing that Western civilizations are corrupted and they do not believe in Islam, so they are a problem, which causes these terrorist groups. And people in the Middle East are believing it is because of their blind faith within the religion and their overwhelming trust within their religious figures and such. And they go on the notion, which is technically true, I don't want to get into it, about Muhammad being warlike in his figure because to liberate people into Islam. This is how terrorist group starts, with one person saying that we are doing it wrong. We need to be like Muhammad, and we need to attack people because we want to spread Islam more. We want to do it. We want to help our religion and such. Now I'm going to be talking about the fundamental aspect of Islam within the third world country. I talked about before how everything is relative within a person. An example of this is how a person in the first world country will find that if the Wi-Fi is on the fritz, they will find it annoying, while a person in the third world country finds out his power is gone. It finds it annoying. This is how everything is relative. Everyone has a relative perspective of pain. Everyone has a relative perspective of annoyance and concentration and such. Within the Middle East, they have the same relativity, but they can endure more. They are more susceptible to how the world works, and they do not care for much about the first world's advancements in carelessness. But within that, they need some kind of cog to relay back on to kind of work. And this cog has kind of integrated into the society. Without it, it kind of wouldn't work because they have something to fall back on. This is the faith aspect of the Middle East. Think about this as a giant clock. The way the clock works is a bunch of cogs moving at the same time, and because they are moving, the other cog moves, which moves the other cog. Think of the endurance aspect of people within the cog of fate moving at the same time. Because this cog is moving, the clock hand is moving as well, making it easier for people in the third world country. Now, this cog can be manipulated, though. It can be manipulated by other people, or smarter people, for their own gains. This is showing how, I remember there was this news presenter or something, Faith Talker, I think he worked in Al Jazeera or something, which asked for the charity money of people in the Islamic faith because he's trying to spread the faith of Islam, which is, oh yeah, Zakir Naik, that's the guy's name. Zakir Naik asking for charity money for people because he's trying to spread the Islamic faith. He's gaining money for it, for his own gains, and using the faith of Islam to get money. And these cogs can be used within terrorism as well. An example of this cog usage is in ISIS. A lot of people that have joined ISIS is because of their pride within the Islamic faith and how they feel as multiculturalism is going to be the downfall of Islam. Because at one point, the Middle East was the forefront of knowledge and science. But what happened was a king who is, or a religious leader who was, I think was a king, I'm not going to be sure, decided to ban numbers, or ban education as such, so he can spread Islam more and people's faith. This causes the downfall within the Middle East and education and such. this is kind of what's happening in ISIS right now, on how they accept Sharia law, saying that they want to undergo these laws because they want people to have more faith within religion and fight for their cause and for their religion, because of the pridefulness of people and how they're brought up to think that Islam is the one and greatest things and will cause them liberation within their lifestyle and such. One of the questions is that how can a person easily manipulate someone in this day and age? One of the reasons is that the Quran is very open. The Quran has a very odd history on how it was made. Before the Quran was written, it was memorized by people. The whole Quran was memorized by son and father and constantly memorized lineage after lineage until someone, I think around 100 years after, decided to write down the Quran and write all its contents within a book. But the thing is, he had to go to hundreds of different people asking what's their thoughts on the Quran and what they memorized of the Quran. A lot of it was different dialects and a lot of it had different things. So it ended up being a preference basis, to be honest. It's kind of what happened. This susceptibility caused the Hajibs or Hadiths or whatever to decide on what to teach and decide what they want. They can pick and choose what they want to teach and what they not and what they don't. The Quran is not definite because it can never be definite because it's so broken. This is one of the reasons how someone can say, oh, the Quran actually says this that, and then someone else in the other corner of the earth can say, no, the Quran says this that, and then someone else says this that, and all of them are technically right. Muhammad even said at one point, two people had different inclinations and decisions on what a teaching could be in the Quran, and he says, yeah, both of you are right. This is why people can easily be manipulated within the thoughts of the Quran, because no one actually reads the actual Quran to make their bases off. And even in reading the actual Quran, no one can really know for sure if it is correct or not. Finally, we're going to talk about the mentality of people within society today, about how they feel about Islam and how modern Muslims work, or refugees work. They suddenly came from a place where the dominant religion was Islam, where they had clear teachings, clear writings, and clear thoughts on their beliefs. And they're suddenly going into a society where the number one religion is not Islam. This causes a massive dialect, and they don't understand that the culture needs to be changed. They don't understand that people they cannot go towards the culture because they cannot just suddenly change their cogs to fit other cultures. Some of them can, yes, but it does not do the same for other people, because they feel as though they can do what they did in their culture, in this culture, because they were brought and born the way they are. Multiculturalism can work, but it takes time. That is the main problem, because a clock needs to be taken apart and then put back together in different ways to make the cogs turn. You cannot just shove another cog into a clock and expect it to work properly. It's not gonna work. It's gonna get damaged, and that is why multiculturalism can't work if you just bring in a giant influx of people into a country, because they will not be able to culturally understand, because they just see what other people do, and the other people are doing the same for them. They are seeing what how other people within their community act and such. But it also brings a question on how multiculturalism can work it can work over time because at a certain point they have communities established that understand how people think and how people work and how they see it. Because usually within um, people within the Middle East and Asia and such, they usually go within the social aspect of it, and they usually follow the social sphere within the region. This also goes for the same for terrorism. They usually go within what other people are believing. They have a extremely high herd mentality. So you cannot just bring a giant influx of people that have had one culture all their life into another one. They need to be slowly processed within the society, or some kind of screening needs to take place in which people understand the modern culture and people can work within society. This is extremely hard to do. I'm not going to lie, and extremely complicated, but it can be done. Maybe not within a quick amount of time. Definitely not within a quick amount of time. What the hell am I saying? It's going to take a long time for it to work, but it can work. That's the end of my thoughts on um, immigration. But within the terrorism aspect of people's psychology, it's because of the herd mentality on how they do not understand the text and they do not understand why people do it in the first place. They need to actually read the book rather than believing in one person and how they believe. They can choose to believe it after and choose to believe it whether they like it or not. And because they need to take out the herd mentality in some way. Maybe if we were to, I don't know, modernize the Middle East, I don't know if that can work at all, but it's a thought. I would like to discuss it more if anyone wants to.